From Mamma Mia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Ksenia Lukic.
And I'm Tina Burke.
We have Tina with us today because Laura, unfortunately, is still unwell. But today on the show, Heated Rivalry is the hottest show over the last couple of weeks, and we're obsessed with it. So we're going to talk about that. But first,
we have something very exciting to talk about. Very exciting to me and our producer, Manisha, and we'll see how many other spillers. I have to talk to you guys about something that happened yesterday at the Critics' Choice Awards, which is that The Bold Type, which is such a big TV show in my world, also in Laura Brodnick's, Aisha D, one of the stars. She was on The Spill at one point. Laura did a No Filter with her last year. She's incredible. Aussie actress, we love her so much. The other two stars of The Bold Type are Katie Stevens and Meghann Fahy. Meghan, you would know from like The White Lotus, Sirens recently. She's also in Rose Byrne's new movie, which is why she was at the Critics' Choice Awards. She's a great time. So she was on the red carpet and she was doing an interview with Refinery 29. And for some random reason, she decided to say that she is really lobbying for a Bold Type movie and that she thinks about it every day. And this has sent, I could not have been more excited. It was the first thing I saw when I woke up. This is the news of my life for me.
Okay, so I haven't watched The Bold Type. It's on my radar, but I just haven't gotten to the point of watching it. However, I do know that it's hugely popular. Yes. I have heard wonderful things about it. Now, I know Katie Stevens actually told People magazine back in August that she was keen for it as well. So this is I feel like they're planting seeds for people.
Yes, they're planting little seeds. And what Meghan said was that if Sex and the City got to do a movie reboot, so should The Bold Type. And now The Bold Type, to a generation of millennial and maybe Gen Z women, is kind of their Sex and the City. It was a trio of friends in New York. They worked at a magazine. It was called Scarlet, and it was kind of like a Cosmo-esque magazine. And it's sort of their friendships, their relationships, their work lives. And it was kind of the closest thing we had to a Sex and the City in the 2017 when it came out.
Would you put it in the same genre as Younger?
Yes. Yeah. And they aired around a similar time to Younger. And that was honestly the prime time. And that genre to me is just millennial optimism. It's just rah-rah band hippie music and girls saying girl boss quotes and their wardrobes being really similar. They've got that vibe about them.
Do you know what's quite funny about that though? Because does it still hold up? Have you watched it recently?
I did rewatch it recently because we've been recommending it to a lot of the girls in the office who've never seen it. And I think if you work in media, this is the show for you. And so I rewatched it and I have to caveat that it's a bit cringe, but you just embrace the cringe.
But I think the reason is because I rewatched Younger recently and that was super cringe. And I think it's because millennials now aren't the young, hot, up and coming generation anymore.
So true.
We're old now.
It's so earnest as well.
Yes. It's millennial, the magazine is this is why we're so cool but we're not anymore.
No, we're not. And it's so starkly different to obviously another millennial show, Girls, but a lot of Gen Z shows are leaning towards that kind of girls type of content now, whereas these shows, The Bold Type, Younger, they were just so earnest and wholesome and uplifting. And my friends and I who all worked in magazines at the time when it came out, if we wanted to be a bit whimsical for the day or wear a nice outfit or go to an event, we'd call it bold typing.
Yeah.
We'd be we're going to bold type today. We're going to go out and live a life.
Girl boss.
And it just had that vibe, which was so ridiculous. But at the end of the day, those three women have remained really, really good friends. And the show ended in the early 2020s. They had a little production break because of COVID and then they came and wrapped it up. But it was a little bit short. Wrapped nicely. You could leave it there. But all three actresses are really good friends. They're all still starring in really great stuff. Aisha was in Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix last year. Meghan's career's taken off. Katie's in a show called Providence Falls. So they're all still doing well, but I think because their friendship has lasted, you rarely see that with shows now where they are still best friends in real life. So I think a lot of fans would just die to see them reunite on screen and bring these girls back to life.
It sounds like there's an appetite there and maybe they can kind of lessen some of the cringe and millennials can be cool again.
Yeah, they can be cool adult millennial versions of themselves. I'd love to see that.
There is a show that has been overtaking my feed at the moment and it is called Heated Rivalry. Now, Tina, I know that you are a big, big fan of this. I'm only about halfway through the season. So I want to tell everyone about this show because it's incredible. But I think you need to give us the TLDR.
Yes. So I am a woman completely bewitched by this show. Over the Christmas break, if I wasn't talking about it, I was listening to the soundtrack. I was sending people memes and TikToks. I have been taking a really grassroots approach to spreading the lore of this show. It doesn't need my help. Millions of people around the world are watching it. But I have been sure to text every single friend I have individually and be are you watching this show? Okay, great. Here's 50 edits for you to enjoy. I love it so bloody much. It's captivated me. But The show, for those who don't know, is airing on HBO Max in Australia. It's actually a Crave original, which is like a Canadian production company, but it's airing on HBO Max. It is based on a gay hockey romance series by Rachel Reed. So there are 6 books in her series, and they each kind of center on like a new duo who are falling in love. However, all of the characters kind of like carry through and they intertwine and all of that. So for the TV show, they've decided to focus on Ilya Rozanoff, which is played by Connor Storrie, who is just the dreamiest dreamboat you've ever seen, and Shane Hollander, who is played by Hudson Williams, also the dreamiest dreamboat you have ever seen in your life. And the story goes that Ilya and Hudson are like young hockey prodigies. They meet sort of in the season before they get drafted to the major league. They have a little romance. They start to feel out that they might be interested in each other. Some things happen, some kisses potentially, and then they get signed to professional hockey teams. So Shane plays for the Montreal Metros, fictional team, and Ilya Rozanoff plays for the Boston Raiders, also a fictional team. This is essentially like, what if we just did the NHL, the National Hockey League in the US and Canada, and just like pretended it wasn't that? For legal reasons. So these two boys basically enter into like a decade-long situationship, which sounds like a nightmare, but it is actually filled with like steamy sex scenes and deeply romantic yearning and text exchanges and like staring at each other across clubs and romantic declarations. And so the series sort of like charts this story while also introducing us to a couple of the other key players from the other books, but it's mostly focused on Ilya and Shane, our two beauties.
So this series has really, it's kind of come out of nowhere. It was very cheaply made. It wasn't a big budget production.
Yeah.
We have 2 relative unknown actors in the lead roles. And so it kind of came out towards the end of last year in Canada and the States.
Yeah.
We've got it here now. All of the episodes are out. But this is just, it has been such a runaway hit. And I feel like we've got a couple of like theories as to why that is.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the premise of it, a gay hockey love story, hockey, could not care less.
Yeah.
Don't care about hockey. Never seen a game in my life. I don't know how to skate.
Yeah. And I think that put a lot of people off at first because they were seeing edits and they really thought the hockey was like a much bigger part of this story. It's not. If you like hockey, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter.
It's completely not part of the story in an important way. But these two are so hot, and literally first episode, I'm not going to spoil it, but first episode, it is so steamy.
Yes.
Probably the most steamy, saucy sex scenes I have ever seen in a production.
Yeah.
And it's very like clutch my pearls.
Yeah. And I think it's like one of the first adaptations of sort of a smutty romantic book that I've seen where they've actually like gone hell for leather on the sex scenes. They're also quite romantic throughout the series.
Very.
Like it's not all just like, oh, so sexy. There's a lot of romance too. But they've actually really committed to bringing the page to the screen, and that doesn't always happen with romance adaptations.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also a big part of why this has been so successful is it's part of that sort of new wave of rom-com formula where they're doing a book that's been really big across fandoms and has an inbuilt audience. Like maybe it's on Book Talk, maybe it's like in book clubs with mums around the country. That's where Reese Witherspoon found her niche for her adaptations. But it means you've got like an inbuilt audience. And so when this was announced, fans were like, oh my God. So I know about this before it aired only because I'm in those spaces where people are like, this book I love is getting adapted. Yay. So you've got that already. Then you lean into the fact that you cast these unknown actors. So the 2 actors had like, I think Connor had like 5,000 or 7,000 followers on Instagram when the show started and had been working as a model and an actor for years. I think Hudson had like also a few thousand, also an actor. He was in a Hallmark movie like this year where he has one line. That was his other big credit of the year. So it's like they were not known people. And what you can do with that is really, really see them as these characters. I had so many people message me and go, wait, Ilya's not Russian in real life? Because you didn't know who they were. So you fall in love with them as these characters. And then you add on top of that just like a banging soundtrack that lends itself really well to edits, to Spotify playlists, to like singing along in the shower, and you have that sort of like perfect recipe for a viral hit. And
it's been really interesting because people are very confused about the fact that this show is very, very popular with women, very popular with women. People are like, why? What? And Hudson Williams has said, he did an interview and he said, women, but really everyone is really tired of emotionally unavailable men. And to see people open up in that way and characters show up in that way on TV is a rarity. And I think we're ready for it. And I love that. Yeah. I think that that's such a big part of it. It's not necessarily about that they're a same-sex couple. It's the romance.
Yeah.
It's the openness of these characters. And something that I think is really, really key here is that the power dynamic between the two is on equal footing. Because if we think about think about 50 Shades of Grey, for example, that power dynamic, there is such a huge disparity between the two. The two of them, while Ilya still is a little bit more, I would say he's a bit more powerful in terms of his forwardness in his sexuality. But as a general rule, the two of them are on equal footing. They're both successful. They're both talented. They're both hiding this part of their sexuality from the rest of their teammates. And it is so titillating.
Yeah. It got a little bit of backlash for sort of how he said it, but I completely saw what he was going for. But the creator, Jacob Tierney, sort of touched on that and said that the reason that a lot of straight women might like this series is what you're saying, of seeing these two people who are both in the same sort of circumstance in society. Men and women have different dynamics in straight relationships. It's just an obvious fact of the world that we live in. So women are concerned about things like danger in relationships or being seen as less than the man that they're with, whereas you take two men and you put them in a relationship, they face a lot of similar obstacles. Obviously, this is very different as well because you're talking about two closeted gay players in a league that is probably not going to be okay with that. That's a part of their story. But it's really interesting that so many straight women have loved this series. And I do think it partly comes down to the fact that so much romance content is made for straight women. So many romance novels, so many rom-coms, the main audience of a lot of that content is straight women because it's made for straight women. But then outside of that, Hudson Williams has also spoken, I think in the same interview as Connor, he was saying, this isn't just straight women who are watching it. It's also queer women. It's also trans women. A lot of women are loving this because it's also just seeing that portrayal of a soft love, a yearning love, that sort of romance that we don't see in the real world. It's like Bridgerton, where Bridgerton's not realistic to the time period, but it's so nice to see, oh my God, that man, he just loves that girl so damn much. It's nice to see someone loving someone this intensely and having this kind of romance.
It reminds me of, there's been this trend on TikTok about men going, oh, what is the female equivalent to Megan Fox in Transformers opening the hood of the car? Do you know that scene?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that was the pinnacle of hot for men, Men are oh, okay, so the female equivalent must be a really buff man. And it's no. The female equivalent, the female gaze is stolen looks. It's passion.
It's a little hand touch.
Genuine connection. It's those little looks and those, the foot under the table thing in the first episode.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So sexy.
Yeah. And I think, again, to expose myself, I'm in the TikTok forums and the Reddit forums. I'm all the way in there. But those are the things making the edits. It's the little feet touches, the little glances of the eyes. They've really done an amazing job of portraying that sort of yearning and also just a different kind of gay love story. It's just nice to see, I guess, in this current moment in Hollywood, more and more gay love stories still making their way to the screen. And at the end of the day, while there's been a lot of discussion about this particular show and the relationship that it's portraying, there are so many gay creatives, journalists, podcast hosts who have had the boys on, who have interviewed them, who have just been on TikTok, on Instagram, speaking about how much they love the show. It's just a really nice, also beautiful representation as well of a beautiful queer love story. It's nice. It's nice that the storyline is two people falling in love and that is the central thing holding it together.
It's been so interesting since Barbie because I feel it's Hollywood is finally realizing that women will actually pay money and they will bring in dollars at the box office. Because if you think about Hollywood execs, it's going to be primarily men and straight men at the top of these organizations who are making these decisions. So as a result, they're kind of taking control of what we watch.
Yeah.
So it's it's not for you, but realize that there is a market for that. And this is such a great example of this again.
Yeah, a lot of content decisions in Hollywood are obviously made by straight men, often straight white men. And so the more that we can sort of champion these stories and build them up when they're told from other perspectives, whether that's by straight women, by gay men, by all different types of people, it gives us more variety. And also it's what we want to see. The crowds are there. The millions of people watching are there. And obviously, as I said before, like this show is airing on HBO Max kind of globally, but it wasn't made by them. And HBO exec Casey Bloys said, like, we're going to stay out of it because that's a concern that people have. This has been renewed for a second season. This show was made with like $5 $100, 36 days, and like a dream and a twinkle in someone's eye. Like they had nothing. If you get into the show and you want to go watch behind the scenes footage, like it's a miracle this show looks as good as it does. They really did amazing work with what they had. But HBO have kind of been like, we're not going to interfere. They're the ones with the vision. They're the ones with the creative dream. And they've clearly done something that worked. And if we interfere, we're going to ruin it. I mean, Casey didn't say that. I'm saying that. But Casey was like, we're staying out of it. We're going to get away from it.
Love that.
And we need that more. Like Reese Witherspoon was saying it over the summer. She was like, let us see romance on screens. Like people are yearning for it. They want to spend the money and go to the cinema. They want to get a HBO Max subscription to watch the show. Like just give us more.
Yeah. Again, I just reminded me of something different. It's not completely the same, but another TikTok that I saw recently is this guy's going to his girlfriend. What are you saying? The NFL is so much more popular than Taylor Swift. Like the organization NFL is just like way more popular. Obviously, as American, not some bogan guy, which is the voice that I'm currently doing. But like he was so sure because that was what he thought was the most popular thing in the world. It's an interesting perspective in the terms of like what men think is the most popular thing. Yeah. I'm not trying to be a man hater here. It's just facts at the moment.
Yeah. And it's really interesting, like as well, like, with how much is taken off, like they committed to it. Like the cast, the actors, everyone involved, like I work in social media. Whoever was their social editor on that set was like running it like the Navy. There has been a new edit, a new photo shoot, a new something dropping every single day. They're doing interviews, they're doing podcasts. They're really pushing it out there to the point that, now they both have 1 million followers and a global smash hit. But they really backed themselves on it too because they know they have been in every interview saying, we knew this would have an audience. We know people want this content.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. So if you haven't seen Heated Rivalry yet, I hope that this kind of encouraged you to. It's available on HBO Max now. All 6 episodes are out. They're about an hour each. Yeah. So they're like nice and juicy. It's a really good one to get your teeth into.
Yes, it's amazing. I hope you will watch it and then we can talk about it more on The Spill.